Okay, how is everybody on this lovely Tuesday? We have strategies for online teaching. This session is really about there's so many people quickly shifting into online teaching, and I wanted to give you some of my experience to see what we can do and some experience from people that I know. So let's get started. Firstly, a few questions for you. Who are you? So where are you today? Can you all type, where are you? Where are you today? Let's have a look at what countries we have. Iran, Malaysia, Italy, Egypt, Oman, Philippines, Baguio. Wow, Philippines, Ho Chi Minh, Hong Kong, Mexico. I can't read. All part of getting a global community of teachers connected together, sharing ideas and seeing what we can do together. And what we realize at the moment is teachers around the world are in the same boat here, right? We're all trying to work out what we're going to do with shifting onto online, etc. And we all have the same problems around the world. Continue. So today we're going to do 4 things, okay? Firstly, we're going to talk about getting started. And then we're going to talk about the do's and don'ts. And I've got some tips from one of the heads of academic experience at one of the biggest online providers in the world. I'm going to talk about things you might not have thought about and then wrap up with some final thoughts. So let me get started. I don't understand why I can't plus. Yeah, unfortunately, it's maxed me out at 100, but oh well, lots of people will miss out today. So getting started. Firstly, let me ask you a question. Who has taught online before? Has anyone taught online before? Yep, great. And who hasn't taught online? Just put, yeah. So it's good. I mean, I think a lot of people have and a lot of people haven't. So this is sort of like, it could be helpful if you have taught online as well. So let's continue. Great. Oh, you're at Apollo. Hi, Matt. Irving, I think you've already downloaded some of our stuff. Good to meet you. Okay, so guys, I'm going to give you a bit of a history lesson. Back in 2011, really the first company started coming out with online language teaching. And really, there were some little ones, but the first big one was Tutor ABC. They're based in Taiwan, and they were sort of ahead of the game and came out before many people realized online learning would become a big thing with language learning. And then next along came 5-1-Talk and VIP Kid. VIP Kid sort of become the biggest one now in China and probably in the whole world. After a while, a whole bunch more came out. You do online? Yeah, great, Mana. A whole bunch more came out. Dada, GoGo Kid, EF now teaches online, Q Kids, Powerfish, italki. There's so many of these companies now teaching online. And this was all happening before the school closures and before the coronavirus. Different quality levels, different styles of teaching. But I'm just trying to show you this, that there has been a market for online teaching, but now that has exploded. This has become the norm, right? 2 kids or 1 kid at home learning online. Because of the coronavirus and because of the closed schools, it's now more normal to learn online than offline, right? So this sort of sets the premise of what we're talking about today. We're basically now going through the largest experiment ever in online learning. And this has never happened before. And, fingers crossed it won't happen again. But what it's doing is it's changing the way people approach online learning. It's making parents understand online learning better, and it's making teachers understand online learning. So I think that there'll be a big shift into online learning after the coronavirus. People will still keep doing it. But we know now this is the biggest experiment in history for online learning. So I want to talk about first is finding a platform and setting up. So let me ask you a question first. Do you know any of the platforms you can teach online? Can anyone name any? And then I'll show you my 4. Yeah, so you've got Google Classrooms, pretty good, Zoom. Things like, Zoom, Webroom, Skype, great. I'm just going to show you 4. Edmodo is another one. Jitsi, Adobe Connect. Oh, there's so many, right? Classing, yeah. So I'm just going to show you 4, okay? Oh, Canvas is another one. Yeah, that's great. I'm going to show you 4 very quickly, and just some things to think about. Yeah, QQ is a big one. Just some things to think about when you're trying to work out which platform to use. Oh yes, our favorite one, Anna Hasper Blackboard, is getting a little bit outdated now, but it's okay. So when you're looking for an online platform, these are the things I look for, but it doesn't mean that's all. I'm just giving you some ideas. So the first one to think about is, how many people can be on the screen at one time? Is it 1-to-1 or is it 1-to-many? So that's one thing to think about. Is it 1-to-1 and 1-to-many? And think about the layout of the videos. We'll have a look in a minute, but think about how the videos lay out. Are they all across the top? The students down the side, or can they be moved around? Can you have 4 people? Can you have 10 people? Can you have 100 people? Let's have a look. The next one is screen sharing. Screen sharing is really important to, if you're planning things. Some of the platforms don't have screen sharing, so that's kind of something to think about. Then you can think about, what can you upload? Can you upload PPTs, videos, PDFs, pictures? We'll have a look at that as well. Then you have to think about what tools are available to you. Are you able to draw? Are you able to write? Can you type? Can you put people in groups, etc.? Another one is breakout rooms and chat boxes. Are these, guys, just so you all know, the connections for all online platforms at the moment are very bad because there are just too many people using them. So ClickMeeting is what I use recently, and it's just because there's too many people. If you don't want the chat room, just shrink it down. You don't have to read the chat room, okay? If you get distracted, just have a look at the other place. That's fine, guys. So, guys, just so you know, there is definitely some connection issues with all of the online platforms at the moment. It's because the whole world has suddenly shifted onto online. But let me move on. Another thing to think about is the background designs, and do they have a learner management system? Do they have a learner management system? So let's have a look. So I've just this is just my rubric that I like to use, and I'll share this all with you. And I just go in quickly and have a look when I'm trying to find an online platform. Really simple rubric that you can use. So one, it's how many people can be online? What tools does it have? Does it have breakout rooms? What's the layout? Is there a chat box? Is there backgrounds? And does it have a LMS? Yes, I'll definitely upload the webinar, no worries. Then you have to also look for the costs, the functions, and the usability. So let's have a look at what I think, and then you guys can check it out later. So 5 points if you know this platform. What platform is this? Yes, great. Now I know my screen is working. Great. So this is Zoom, okay? So firstly, this is my opinion on Zoom. It might not be your opinion, but it's just what I think Zoom is, you can have like 1 to 100, I think is the most or more on the screen. So it has 1-to-many. It has very limited functions. You can really only have pens, you can screen share, you can erase, but there's not much you can do. You can upload you can show your screen, but you can't really upload content. It's okay. It has breakout rooms. You can use them for if you buy the $14.99 per month package. It has multiple layouts, which is nice. You can have like 4 together. If you've got a class of 6 kids, you can have 6 in a grid, or you can have them across the top. That's kind of nice. It has some backgrounds, so you can have like an image in your background, or you can plug some things in. And it has a very basic learner management system. For me, I think it's an okay cost. It's not very good functions, but it's super simple to use, right? You just do it, you share your screen and go. So it's super simple for everyone to use. It's not very good for kids because it's more set up for adults, but pretty cool. Next, who knows what this one is? Who has seen this one? No, I'm not going to show a video on Zoom now, no. So ClassIn, yeah. ClassIn is a company based in China. They developed, so they have, it's just basically a platform that you can go and use to teach online, and it's specifically for teaching online. It's pretty cool because you can actually upload all your content before, so you've got all this nice content that you can use. You can have a lot of functionality here. There's pointers, there's dice, there's blackboards, there's drawing. You can go into the back end and set the background. You can choose what background you want to make, which is kind of cool. You can send prizes to the kids. I've just blocked the kids here so you can't see who they are. And you've got multiple layouts. So I'll send you all this after, but yeah, they only have 1 to 12 is the maximum you can have. The prizes are really cool. Like you send out, like you press a button and a trophy goes to them. You can choose different prizes to send. Lots and lots of functions. This was really made for teachers to teach. They have breakout rooms. They also have blackboards. So you can like send a blackboard to a student. They can draw on it and send it back and the other kids can't see it. That's pretty cool, having the blackboards. It has private chats that you can have with the students, very customizable background. Anything you want to make for the background, you can make, and it has a full learner management system. Now, it's highly functionable. It's a little bit difficult to use at first. It's a little bit difficult to use at first because, there's quite a lot of functions, so the kids sometimes miss out, some of the functions. The only other issue about it is they do their pricing a little bit differently. You have to buy credits on ClassIn. So you buy credits, you end up with a balance. And every time a child has a class, it costs you, if it's 1-to-1, it costs 30 cents for a class, for an hour. The more students you have, the more expensive it is because of the video speed. So the other problem is you have to buy a couple of $100 up front. But it's worth checking out. ClassIn, very, very high functions. The next one, has anyone seen this one before? Has anyone seen this one before? This one's like a new player in the market, and I really recommend checking it out. They're called LearnCube. LearnCube are a smaller company, but they're growing very fast. And LearnCube, their idea is to make it super simple. Yeah, LearnCube here, super simple to use. And it's kind of like it's a classroom plus a whiteboard plus video. You can just have the whiteboard if you want to. So check out LearnCube. LearnCube, you can have 1 to 10 students, lots and lots of functions, very customizable backgrounds, a very good learner management system. The major problem is you can't change where the students are on the screen. So it's very hard to have communicative language teaching when you have to keep the kids into the bottom left-hand corner over on the side here. Check out their pricing, pretty good, $14 a month. You can do quite a lot with that. So that's called LearnCube. Yep, just go learncube.com and you'll find them. I'm not trying to sell for them. I'm just helping you because I've already done a lot of research on this. And then lastly is our friends at Skype. And Skype are great. I mean, they were sort of the first video online platform really to make it. They have 1-to-1. You can do 1-to-many. Basically no functions, no breakout rooms, not very many layouts. But we love Skype, right? It's easy. It's super easy to use. You just open it up, get the kids to log in. That's it, done. No learner management system really. It's a good one for one. I recommend Skype for 1-to-1. Their video quality is a bit better as well. Unfortunately, at the moment, as the whole world is going online, the video quality is dropping and dropping with all the platforms because they're just using up too much. So that's Skype. So let's think about, what did Anna have to say? Let me see. I like listening to what people have to say. So let me just see. Yeah, I know. Unfortunately, let me just type this on, all online platforms are experiencing I can't spell, experiencing lags and connection issues. Yeah, it's just how it is. So I will upload this and you can watch it later. I'll edit out all the boring parts for you. So step 1 was finding your platform. Step 2 is setting up your teaching space. Very important, and people don't think about this very much, I don't think. There is so much you can do with your teaching space. You can see, I'll just give you some examples, but you can see, a lot of teachers might have maps here behind, or they have names up behind. There are so many videos online. I mean, Google Classroom, sorry, I can't use it in China because we are not able to use Google in China. So you can have a search online for some reviews on that. So the backgrounds become a really important thing for teaching. What I think you need to think about, my tips are, your children are coming in, and if it's just a plain background, remember you're trying to excite them and engage them. So make them feel like they're still going to school. When you go to school, there's pictures all around you, and there's books, and there are flashcards and lots of things, right? So I just want to show you some examples I really like. This teacher I really like because they've got the background with a whiteboard. They've got this really nice setup here with all their stuff underneath. Everything is available, a nice comfy chair, and the computer is here. Also with this teacher, they can stand up, so they can actually do some nice activities, full body activities. So really think about how you can set up your teaching space. Here's 2 more examples. I really like what this teacher's done. They have these nice pockets here. Yeah, exactly, Anna. These really nice pockets, so they can quickly grab some flashcards. They can quickly grab some letters. This one's made it very homely, so this Amanda teacher must be someone that's really thinking like, I'm going to show them who I am. And as Anna said, so have all your resources close by. If you have all your resources, I can show you, I have everything here on my bookshelf, right? So I can quickly say, okay, I've got some flashcards ready, ice cream, I've got all my textbooks if I need to show something from the textbook, right? I've got hundreds of books on this bookshelf in case, I need to read something, so I can just quickly say, oh, okay, let's read about the scarf, and we've got books. I always, top tip, I always have my blocks. Blocks are so useful for everything. So if you have blocks, you can use it for colors, you can use it for pronunciation activities, so many things. Mini whiteboard is a beautiful one, really, really helpful, mini whiteboard. One tip I can show you is make sure that your camera can go down, and you can start doing things on the desks for the kids to see. That's something that people don't think about, right? So you want to be able to do things on the desk, like I'm going to the shops or something, and you can start really manipulating. Make sure you have your pencils and make sure that you have blank paper. One of the greatest things to have is a whiteboard, as Anna said, or blank paper. So when you're talking to the kids, oh, okay, and then you're drawing something, and now I've got a flower, and now I can start teaching something, right? It means you can interact a bit more. Yeah, it's really cool. I love all this. And also, two more, as Anna said, Remember your lighting. There's nothing worse than coming to a class and the teacher's all dark and you can't see them properly. So remember, nice bright room, whiteboards, standing room. I love the idea that you can actually stand up while you're teaching, because that's part of teaching, right? And yeah, I mean, iPad as well. That's also beautiful. I like using a PC because I can do lots of different things. And whiteboards, of course. So let's continue. Just a little tip for you. If none of you know, ManyCam is a plugin, basically, that allows you to do some cool things with your face, with your background. You can make borders. So I'm not going to get into it, but ManyCam, check it out. It helps enhance your teaching environment. So you can have these things where you can turn your face into a cat. You can turn the kids' faces into a cat. I'm not interested in this. I don't do it, but some teachers love it. They love having the borders. They love having cool backgrounds. It's all virtual. Check it out. They actually add extra tools. So yeah, some people love ManyCam. I've never been a fan, but I would be remiss if I did not recommend it. Yes, very cool for not for older grades. That's ManyCam. Check it out. So that's getting started, guys. The next thing is do's and don'ts. So there are lots and lots of things you shouldn't do and you should do. I spoke to one of my good companions, but before I show them what they did, otherwise the chat box will go crazy, so I'm just going to leave it for now. Do's and don'ts. These are top tips from top people. So I spoke to a very close companion of mine or friend of mine, and this is Ross Thorburn. He was going to join us today, but he has been the head of teaching at 51 Talk. He was also the head of teaching at Dada, and he was also the director of training at EF. So he has more experience than anyone I know. Okay. Don't worry, we'll get to that. What was on the one before do's and don'ts? Oh, sorry, this was what was coming up next, do's and don'ts. So moving forward, so Ross Thorburn has been the head of teaching at 51 Talk and at Dada and at EF. He's also a Trinity College London assessor and course director, and he's also runs the TEFL Institute of Training. So I spoke with him recently about what are your main things about teaching and what online, and what do you notice? What are the differences between on and offline? And would you give me your highest do's and don'ts, your top do's and don'ts? So I spoke to Ross. He actually released a podcast yesterday on this exact topic, but he is an expert, and I really wanted to look at what he had to say. So these are all his do's and don'ts. You don't need to read them now. I will share this with you so you can have a look after. But these were Ross's top tips. And I'm going to show you some of the things he talked about. And I agree, because I used to work in one of the big providers as well as a trainer. So these are the top do's and don'ts in random order. Number one, do. Do teach your kids. Yeah, we'll get to group work. Do teach the kids how to use the platform first. So many teachers start teaching online and they forget to tell the kids how to use the platform. Don't assume kids know how to use the platform. It can be very difficult for them. They don't know where the camera is, maybe. They don't know where the pens are. They don't know where everything is. So, number one tip, when you start teaching online, teach them how to learn online. So ask them, where is the camera? Get them to block off the camera. Get them to wave something in front of the camera. Tell them to bring something and show you in front of the camera. And then they know where the camera are, okay? We'll talk about parents in a minute. Tell them to find a pen. Draw something on the screen, right? Yep, I'm getting there, Anna. Get them to draw a circle, do something simple. Ask them to type something into the chat box. And most importantly, Ask them to speak, because so many kids don't even realize that they can speak. They think they're watching a screen. They don't have to speak. So this is one of the first ones. Teach your kids how to use the platform. Number 2, be very aware of the content in the textbooks. A lot of schools will now just upload their textbooks to the platform. But most textbooks for English teaching, they start with greetings, and then usually one of the first units is classroom objects, like this. So just be really clear, when the kids are in the online classroom, there'll be a whole bunch of different classroom objects. Okay. And so just be aware that when you're in the online classroom, they have to learn about some other things. It's not just pen, pencil. There's things online as well. But they're going to be looking at the content thinking, oh, this is all just like a pen and pencil and ruler, and not realize that it's the same as when it's online, just in a different format. One tip for me is, when you start teaching online, try to find the simplest topic you can think of, and that they don't need to think about the language, because they've never been online before. They've got to get confident about it. Once they're confident, then you can start pushing them with more difficult language. Number 2, so many schools, they will say to the kids, please circle the monkey, for example. And the teacher will say, please circle the tree. I think this is a complete waste of time. You should ask the teacher, ask the student to tell you what to do. So the student says to you, teacher, please circle the elephant. And then the teacher is circling, but the student is speaking. The student is in control. Really, a student circling something on the screen is receptive, kind of interesting, doesn't show much about learning. It just shows that they know what it is. So get them to ask you, right? And then so if the student says, circle the elephant, and you circle the bat, you make a mistake, you know that the student, you're checking whether the student knows. The student will then have to correct you. So they're using the language, they're in control, and they're telling you what to do. So make it a two-way experience, rather than just circle the tree, circle the elephant. That's not really exciting teaching at all. Yeah, exactly. Playing turns. Really, really good point. Playing turns. And then the same again. When the student's asking a teacher questions, tell them to ask about every slide. Every slide, they should ask you a question. So many teachers we watch teaching online, they forget to make it a two-way interaction, like I'm doing now, right? But yeah, the student could ask, what animal do you like, teacher? Oh, I like the elephant. Great. There are thousands of questions they could be asking here. There's just infinite amount of questions, right? Do you like TV? What color is the apple? What color is the tree? What is next to the tree? What is next to the bat? Is the bat above the milk? I mean, there's just so many questions, right? And it doesn't have to just be circle the bat, circle the thing. Get creative and think about it. This is one of my favorites. I do this in all my offline classes and my online classes. I say to them, you can't, Matt, I would say learn it through routine, build up to it. You do it first, then get them to do it. But look, you're going to be talking to them every day. So this is one of my routines. I tell my students, class doesn't start till you've all asked me 3 questions. And in the first lesson, they're nervous. By the second lesson, they all just run to the class and they want to ask you, right? Ask 3 questions to start the class. I just call it it's a key to start the class. You can't start the class till you've asked me 3 questions. And they usually say things like, teacher, how are you? Teacher, what did you do today? Jake, where are you? Jake, what are you doing? You get it, right? Try to include a question from the students in every activity. Yeah, how old are you? Make sure kids ask each other questions. If you've got more than one in the class, ask them, say, hello, Anna, can you ask Matt a question, please? And then the last one is ask questions to finish the class. I tell my students, you can't leave the class until you've asked me a question and told me something you learned today. It's called a ticket out the door, right? Okay, so this is a don't. That was a do. So do get the kids to ask questions. Don't just get kids to read the slides aloud. I can kind of see a point to it, but so many teachers we see just say, okay, kids, now read the slides. And I don't really know what it's doing, because the kids will just then say, busy, busy, busy. Busy, busy every day. Busy, busy, I can't play. Now, one, is boring, but when you're reading aloud, you're not really comprehending it as well as if you're reading it in your head and then talking about it. There's not much happening there. It's a little bit for pronunciation, maybe. So, the research shows that kids don't really, it's kind of good for pronunciation, Frank, but if you watch my pronunciation webinar, you'll see so many other tips for pronunciation that are better than reading aloud. Really, and the other thing is, reading aloud is not natural. Yes, singing is great. Singing is perfect. But how often are you walking down the street reading aloud? The only time you're really reading aloud is when a parent reads to the kid, and hopefully the kid can read to the parent. So rather than getting the kids to read a slide, why don't you get them to pick a book from home? This is my favorite book about grandma, and ask them to read to you from the book. Now, number one, it's still practicing reading and it's still practicing speaking, but what you're getting the kid to do is take the language off the screen and into their house. And now they're reading about something that is in their house, and then after class, they might continue reading to their parents. And it's a skill that is a bit more authentic, reading a book as opposed to reading slides on a screen. And then they can ask you questions, which is awesome. They have to read our book. Okay, cool. But I was just saying, many teachers I see get the kids to read the instructions out loud. I don't know why, but they do. So rather than reading the instructions out loud, get them to pick their favorite paragraph is a great one, Anna. Ask the students to read the instructions and then concept check, right? It's really obvious. So if there's some instructions on the screen, say, okay, no talking, read in your head, and then you can do some CCQs, some concept checking, right? You do your CCQs just like offline. I think a lot of teachers think once they're online, all their skills go out the window, but they're still the same skill. You still need to do concept checking, question checking questions. The next one for a do, my favorite for a do is always, just think, what can I send them before? You know they're online, so it's beautiful, right? Because they're going to have their class online. You don't need to send them a book. You don't need to send them worksheets. You can just send them a video an hour before class and say, please watch this video before class. Don't waste time in class watching videos, because they can do that before class. So watch a class before. Send them something to read before class so they've already seen it before class. Send them some pictures to look at so they can think about what the class is going to be about. Yes, Maya, send them a song to listen to. Send them an app before, right? Do some games online before class so then when they come in, they've already started to think about it. So it's just called flipped approach, right? But I have a webinar on this too. Yeah, do a dance. Good job, Rosanna. This is one of my favorite to-dos. We are teaching kids at home now. You can't do this in your classroom. So kids have all the content around them. If I look around me, I've got all my stuff here, right? I've got my blocks. I've got I've got a guitar here. I've got what else have we got? I've got a helmet. There's so many things we could be talking about, right? So it's like, I got toys everywhere because I'm in my daughter's room actually. But you see what I mean is, if you have toys, you can be talking about animals and then say, go and find me a toy monkey or something. If you are talking about body parts, find a toy and actually get them to show you. Foods, you're talking about food. Go to the kitchen and find some of the food. They're in the real environment. Parents will love it eventually, not at first. Find pictures of the family. Having pictures of the family is great. It gets them to really think about what they're talking about. Bring in family members, tell them, go and get your brother, go and get your sister. Show me your grandfather. Sometimes it's really nice for them to do that. Bring in artworks that they've used before. Show their pets in class. So try to think, what is in the kids' home that we could integrate into my class, right? Yeah, handcrafts. Show me something you made yesterday, right? My daughter made this yesterday. It's an ice cream eye. It's not a very good activity, but, get them to show things that they've made in class before, at home before. So, yeah, just remember that beginner language is very concrete, right? It's very vocabulary heavy. So usually there's some realia, some stuff around the house you can get, right? Yeah, ice cream, good joke. Parents then see the kids interacting with the house, and then it also reduces some of the screen time, right? Because, they're online the whole time watching something, and you want them to take their eyes off the screen sometimes, okay? Next to do, there's so many on here, guys. This is going to be a little bit longer, this webinar. Set context, and it's the same as offline, right? I mean, just whenever you start a class, like I did today, I tried to show you a context to what we were going to talk about. So just showing some pictures and just asking the kids, what can you see? And don't tell them, what can you see? Don't say, where is the elephant? Or don't say, what's this? That's not really setting a context. It's, what can you see? Open-ended. And then the kids tell you what they can see. Then you know what level that they're at. What words do they need to know? It's kind of a little test. Then my favorite one is, what can you hear? Now, they can't hear anything, but they've got to think about it. Oh, I can hear an elephant. I can hear moo. I can hear a koala chewing. What can you smell? Oh, I can smell I can smell the koala. It's so stinky, right? And then you've set a context and you can say, what is the topic today? And it's clearly the topic is animals or the zoo or something, right? So just remember, always set a context the same way you would do it. Yes, exactly, Matt. Yeah, and there's so many questions you could be asking on one page. You can make a whole lesson out of this one page. Oh, this is really interesting one. From watching classes and observing online classes, so many teachers, when they're teaching one-to-one, they ask the kid to be both sides of the dialogue. So they'll say, the kid will say, it's a cat. And then they'll say, no, it's not. It's a dog. Yes, it is. And I don't know why teachers do that. So if you're a teacher and you're teaching one-to-one, just get involved. Just be part of it. Yeah, you'd be surprised what we see online. So clearly encourage student-to-student interaction. So if you're using ClassIn, you can actually pull the teachers from up here down to here, the students, sorry. You can grab them and put them down and then say, okay, now I want you two to speak to each other, and then the other kids can watch, just like in an offline class. So they're modeling for the other kids. They get to look at other kids doing it. Kids like to see other kids doing the language because then they're more confident to do it, right? Rather than just you and the teacher. This is one of my top tips as well. This is just from me. You can't do that. You can do it with Zoom, but you can't do it with. You can do it with ClassIn and some other ones. Keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid, or keep your slides simple. KYSS. There's so much going on the screen. There's always these, there's lots of things here happening. There's videos going on. So the learning, what they're focusing on should be quite simple, right? Should be something nice and simple. So just when you're building things, make it really short and keep it short and sexy. Yeah. So for example, today I've got 80 slides. Don't think of it as always just being one slide, two slide, in a textbook, because it's not going to work as well on the screen. Next, another tip. This is actually one of the tips from Ross. If you have a folder, get folders on your desktop that have lots of pictures in them, and make sure that they're ready to go. So when you have spare time, just download animal photos, download pictures of houses or whatever you need, transport, etc. So I always have all these animals in my folders. So very quickly, if a student asks a question, I can just pull out something from a folder. Sometimes it's hard to find something, so you've got to think, oh, I can just have all my folders ready to go, and then you can just quickly upload a picture or just show on your screen a picture that you have, and that's a nice way just to keep the interaction going quite quickly, and if they're prepared earlier. Yeah, so as I said, have lots of materials ready to go. I always have, as I said, I have flashcards ready to go on my sides here. I have books ready to go. I have a picture folder. I have a videos folder. And I have, toys and puppets and blocks, lots of stuff ready to go. Okay, that was a lot. That was sort of the main part of the session today. It was just all the do's and don'ts and some little ideas for you. I just want to go through 5 things you might not have thought about. And these are super, super important and a little bit more serious, okay? So number 1, things you might not have thought about before. Number 1. What's the problem here, guys? What's the problem? Yeah, I'll just make it really simple for you. It's really hard to draw using a mouse. So many teachers will say to a kid, draw a circle. Not all the kids are on an iPad or on a phone, and then they've got to start doing something with a mouse. I promise you, if you ask a 6-year-old to use a mouse, 90% of them have never done it before, because it's 2020. Kids use phones now. Kids use tablets. So if they're on a PC, just be aware that they might be using a mouse. And tell the parents, get a very easy one. They're big, for a kid. So just be aware of that, okay? That's one of the ones you probably didn't think of. Number 2, just because you're using a PC doesn't mean the same functions are available on the tablets. So for example, Click Meeting, when you're on a phone, you can't interact. You can only watch it. If you're on a PC, you can do other things. So just be really careful that you've checked, okay, what functions will my kids be able to see? A lot of your students will just be on a phone when they're doing this. So really check what are they on and what can they do. If they're on a PC, make sure it's, you've got functions and they can draw on the screen, etc. Next one, parents' involvement. Now you can just type for a second. What issues do parents bring you? Go. Yes, overbearing. Oh my gosh, sometimes they can be overbearing. They talk a lot. Yeah. They're skeptical. They don't speak English. Yes, Frank Foley. They're chatty. They're waiting for us to hear. There's so many of them nagging. Yeah, you all know, right? Because you've done this. Oh, the parents answering. Oh my gosh. Every question. You ask a question and the parents answer. Yeah, they want to learn more than the kid. So the kid's in the class and the parents getting a free lesson. It's awesome. Yeah, they don't allow independence. Yeah, these are all these things exactly, right? Yeah, they definitely, Clyde. Good point, Clyde. They always question the process, right? Yeah, exactly, right. So, but of course, right? So let me just start this with a premise. Parents never used to go into our classrooms, ever. You don't let parents come sit in your classroom half the time, sometimes, but not very often. So don't be tough on the parents. Be a bit sympathetic, but yeah, you're right. They want to answer everything. They think, oh, my kid's not answering. I don't know what to do, right? they think that the kids should not move, sit down and don't move. But I say, let the kids run around the house and find things and do things, right? Because that's how language learning works. So they might be a bit tough on the kids. They want to translate everything. If they speak English, it happens all the time. And what they don't realize is that in a normal English class, kids don't understand everything. They only understand like 70%, 60%. And suddenly they're at home learning, and the parents expect them to understand everything. And of course they can't do that, right? This is the first time they've ever seen a kid in a class, so they're going to be really tough on the kids sometimes. And they're so worried if their kids don't understand. So just be aware that parents will be coming in and out of your class. They will be freaking out. But my advice is just say hello and say, sorry, do you mind moving? Or, just try to be as nice to them as possible. What do you think are the effective filters? So remember I told you, kids are at home. So what are the effective filters that can affect? Yeah. What things can affect a child while they're at home learning? Yeah, feelings, right? Happiness, yep. Yeah, Paul Granger. Yeah, exactly. So effective filters are the psychological filters that can facilitate or hinder language production, right? And you don't know what happened to them that day. They're right there in the house. Maybe mummy and daddy were angry. Maybe mummy and daddy were happy that day. You can't see what's happening outside. In your classroom, you can control that in a school, in an offline setting. You can kind of control what's happening in the class. You can make sure the kids are being nice to each other. The door is shut. You're in control. But for this, you don't know what's happening around them. You don't know what's happening over here for me, right? There could be people over there. You don't know that. So just be really aware that kids there's things happening around the kids that you won't be able to control. There's feelings that they've had that day that you can't control. So just be aware that not all kids are coming to class and going to be super happy all the time. My daughter often goes to online classes and just, ends up crying because I've been picking on her that day. Not really, but, I've been a bit tougher on her before the class. So just remember that. This is something you might not have thought of, storage. When you're doing a class, make sure you record every single class you teach because it will cover you. If you do not record your classes, you are going to end up having a problem one day and you won't be able to go back and have a look at the class. So number one is great for academic reasons. You can go back and look and see where the problems were. How can you be a better teacher? How can you be doing things better? But also, when you run out of recording space from whatever platform you're using, well, the platforms, gym teachers, look on the platforms, they'll tell you. Skype has recording, Zoom has recording, ClassIn has recording. My point is, don't run out of recording space and it costs money to record, but you need to do this, right? You need to, because you don't think about it now, but parents might complain. Parents might cause and you might want to go back and have a look and say, okay, this is what happened in class. A child might do something a little bit not great. How can I say it nicely, euphemistically? So you want to be able to go back and have a look. Also, as a training tool, right? You want to go back and see, what mistakes did I make today? How can I be a better teacher? And then you can watch it. You can share it with your friends as well, right? And say, can you watch my class and give me some feedback for self-reflection, etc. So think about this, right? My advice is record all your classes. I'm just going to pause for a second because I think this is the most important slide from a serious point of view. And maybe you haven't thought about this, but look out for this and be careful. Children are at home and you don't know what's happening in the home. The more you teach online, the more the parents will become relaxed. You will see things you don't necessarily want to see. And you need to think about that. I'm not going to give you examples. Just think about it. Things will happen in the home that you need to be aware of, and these are children. So record your classes. My advice is if you're a teacher and you haven't had a background check for a long time, have a background check. Because right now, it doesn't matter so much, but very, very, very soon, it will become very important that all the teachers have a criminal background check because you're being beamed into the people's houses. So be very, very aware of that. Remember, you're at home. People don't think about this. You're in your house. You don't know what's happening in your house sometimes, you know? There are people walking around, someone's shouting at someone, someone's doing something, someone walks past the screen behind you, you know? There are things that happen in your house that you don't think about. Now, I've worked in a big online company before, watching classes, and some of the things I've seen, you wouldn't believe what I've seen happen. And you're being beamed into other people's houses, so be really, really aware that you might see things you don't want to see. Kids don't always want to see things that are happening in your house. Remember, you're not in control of the environment that the kids are in. And this is for the first time for you if you're a teacher offline. You've never thought about this probably. Oh, I'm in their house now. Imagine, the way I think of it is this. Imagine you actually went to their house. How would you act? How would you act if you went into someone's house? You'll be polite and courteous and professional. Dress nicely. Don't come to a class in weird clothes and things because different cultures, different groups. Just be really professional. That's all I'm saying. That's good you live on your own. So here's some final thoughts to wrap up, guys. At the moment, we're all in a new world. Learn from other teachers. Learn from other people. Yeah, lock in the cat. My cat, I've got to learn to do that. I did that today. Learn from other teachers. Talk to each other. Call each other up. Have a meeting on Skype with them and say, how's it going? What is going on? Because everyone's learning at the moment, and the best people to learn from are your peers. Yeah. Remember that most kids, when they're going into the class, are going through two cognitive processes. One is the language learning, and two is how do I be online? So make sure that it's like, don't just assume that they can do both things at the same time, right? So try to keep it simple, right? So if you got some new language, make it simple because they're still learning to get online as well. Oh, that was a mistake. Be professional and be cautious. You know, always assume there's other people watching your classes. You don't know. There might be 20 people in that house watching your class. So be really careful. Be cautious about what you say. Being professional about how you speak to people, right? I know it seems like a worry, but I have seen this too many times. Don't talk about certain topics, right? The two cognitive processes, I was just meaning that kids are online trying to work out how to do drawing and this, and I'm sitting here, it's all new to me, and I've got to learn a language. So it's two things happening at the same time, right? They've got to learn how to be online first, so that becomes second nature. If you ever read Daniel Kahneman, he would say that goes into your system 1 thinking, and your system 2 thinking takes the language learning. Be creative because we don't know what we're really doing sometimes. Be super creative. The more ideas that we have, don't just think a textbook and then talk. No. Think of all the coolest things you can think of. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Next week, I'll have some good answers for you, some great activities. But this, just be as creative as possible. And lastly, and I kind of say this every time, if it's offline or online, ask yourself, is learning really happening here? How do I know someone is learning something here? And I'll be running a webinar on this soon, but constantly thinking, is this child learning something? That's the most important. Wow, that was a lot of stuff, guys. So we're going to run. Just remember, next week's webinar is on teaching vocabulary. I have to up the numbers. I tried to up the numbers before. We've had over 100 people today. I'll have to up the numbers for next week, so please book online. Remember, on tomorrow night, we have an awesome forum, a live discussion with Phyllis from Class In. She's the Global Product Director. Alex here from the Director of Seed Education. Ross, who has more experience in online than anyone I know. And Irene, who's head of a publisher here in China. It's going to be an awesome session, live discussion. What else we got? You can remember to go on studycat.com and download our content that you can use in your classes, which I'll be talking about in another podcast soon. Yeah, I'll send this out as a webinar. Don't worry, I'll send this out on video. It's all on StudyCat. But you have to join the StudyCat club, and then you join the club. It's free at www.studycat.com/schools. Check it out there, and also don't forget. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Lots of cool ideas there. Check us out on there. I'll send the links through after this. And lucky last, please add me on LinkedIn. If you add me on LinkedIn, you'll get lots of updates and more advertisements. And peace. Thank you very much. You're a lovely bunch. I'm really sad because a whole bunch of people missed out on coming today.